All right, I feel like I'm going to be making lots of videos this week. All right, so I got this video that somebody sent me, Peter Wright, a friend of mine on Twitter, and it's talking about a video clip from a longer discussion where Call of Duty creator Dave Anthony, then a senior fellow at Atlantic Council, gives remarks on their September 2020 plan. So this is a little bit of an older video to shift the Department of Homeland Security from terrorism to censoring misinformation and disinformation online. And now, this guy is a game developer talking about politics. He suggested that Trump's 2016 election was a Pearl Harbor event DHS could have redesigned to stop. So when I say that this is not about ethics, this is not about games journalism. It's hardly even about video games, to be honest, but it's about a broader cultural shift. That's what I mean. And you might be surprised. You might be one of these people that's like, look, man, I just want to play my video games. I just want to be left alone. But you have to understand that these people will not leave you alone. You know, there's an old saying: you may not be interested in politics, but politics is interested in you. And so, like, what you do, where you put your attention, what you spend your money on, how you spend your time matters, especially to people who want to control your life. So let's take a look at this clip. And I'm just saying, bear this in mind. Bear this in mind now, because this is what they are doing. These people are cultural engineers. Okay, so I'm gonna play this, and then I'll give some more commentary.
And today we face a spectrum of below threshold threats in the cyber, information, commercial domains that really bring security challenges to the US's doorstep. And General Jones kind of touched on a number of them. So, Dave, maybe I can kick it to you first. I'd be interested to hear how you think Homeland Security has evolved in the last 19 years. You know, what are the security challenges that the US faces today that most concern you?
Sure. I mean, in terms of how it's evolved, I think given the threats that we're currently facing and how difficult they are to predict, I think evolved might be generous. I think the types of things that are being thrown at us are very, very, very difficult to predict. And, you know, look, I make video games and, you know, we spend time coming up with all these crazy scenarios of, oh, this can happen, that can happen. And, you know, the secret is, of course, we never believe it's going to happen. But I've got to tell you, there was a moment this year when I very specifically asked myself a question. I was watching something happening, you know, live on the news channel. Like, could our democracy actually fail? Like, that type of threat is something that had never occurred to me as a possibility before. So, you know, I was chatting to the council about this sort of thing. And I watched this documentary called The Unknown Known, which I think was Donald Rumsfeld's answer to the fog of war. You know, it was a very interesting documentary. I'm not sure I agreed with everything in there, but one thing he highlighted Pearl Harbor as a failure of imagination. And I think you guys actually included in the blurb for this event that, you know, the 9/11 Commission said the greatest failure for 9/11 was a failure of imagination. So I asked myself, you know, well, since 9/11, what's been the next failure of imagination? And I think there's a case to be made that, you know, the ramifications, basically in 2016, the ramifications of electing a president who just refuses to play by the established rules of democracy, you know, and what could possibly happen as a result of that is another failure of imagination, and perhaps the greatest one so far. You know, we're in 2020.
Can you imagine being this consumed with TDS? So this is a game designer talking about the global implications and comparing 2016, the election of a president through a legal system, to Pearl Harbor and 9/11. Well, anyway, so I just wanted to share that with you guys. And you know, it's some of you that are watching this, you probably don't know that, like, the other thing that I do is I started doing before I started doing this channel. I work on a channel called Honey Badger Radio and another channel called Badger Live Streams. Badger Live Streams is just like a live streaming offshoot of Honey Badger Radio. Honey Badger Radio is run by a bunch of women, and we talk about men's issues, things like divorce and child custody and circumcision and false allegations, things like this. We have to fight feminism at every turn. We've been doing it for over 10 years. Some of the women on the channel have been doing it for 20 years. And we also learned not that long ago from a friend on Twitter that groups like ours and other sort of like, I guess you could say male advocacy groups have been targeted by the CIA and the Department of Homeland Security as well. And they're being targeted, and we're being targeted in a way that is a bit subtle. So instead of like, maybe censoring us or something like that, what they do is they're creating counter narratives. And you can find all of this on our channel if you check out Badger Live Streams or Honey Badger Radio, but Badger Live Streams where most of the recent stuff is. There is a link in the description to it so you can see it. And it looks like the same thing is happening here. So like if you're on the internet and you're a gamer and you're thinking, that like what you do should be seen as really nothing, it's just like a hobby. That's not how these people see it. And that's important. It's important that you understand that despite like how little you might be interested in a larger scale conversation or a struggle, these people see this and they're serious. So be prepared. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments. And help me get to 500 subscribers. I'd really love that. If we do, I'll create memberships and try to make the this channel more informative and more fun. So maybe even make a Discord. I don't know. I'm not sure if I'll have the time or energy, but I'd like to be able to. I'd like to make this a community. So anyway, please like, share, subscribe, and comment. And I'll talk to you all in the next one. Long live Vivian.